Hi, it's Jane. I'm going to move on to making a couple of tubes for the blanket for the veterans. And I don't know how this yarn will work up in the knitting machine, but we'll kind of see how it flows, if it does, or if it's going to be troublesome. But sometimes you just got to try it, right? Of course, now I got to find the end now that I've pulled it all out. Oh, goodness, Jane. I don't know why you weren't thinking about that when you were pulling it out, getting it ready. There we go. There's the end. So let me get that machine set back there. I don't think anything important, but I need to double check. Yep, just a thread that I'm on for a prayer list, so just checking in on somebody. All right, so we're going to start feeding this in. I am going to tell you that I am going to do 300 rows, but I'm actually going to do 301. Just because that first row is going to be the row that you'll do the slip stitches in to finish those off when you do the tubes. And then you have to either sew them together or, mattress stitch, whatever, crochet them together to make your blanket or your Afghan. So I'm going to make a couple of red tubes, and we'll kind of go from there. All right. This yarn is Red Heart Cherry Red. And I know sometimes these do not sometimes the machines don't like them. I do know that my machine is okay with like, I love this yarn, but then it's certain yarns that it's okay with, because some of the other yarns it's like, nope, not having it. So it's just hit or miss with your knitting machines, whether it's a Centro, Addi, or whatever. I do have an Addi machine. I also have a Centro. I don't have the Centro out because I can only wind one machine at a time. I'm not talented like that. I have suggested that if maybe some of the teens would like to come over and use the Addi machines for Operation Christmas Child, they're more than welcome to come sit and we can talk and they can knit away or learn to knit with these machines. Learn how to create some beautiful items with them. Maybe get them started on crafting. That's the whole goal. I don't know if you guys follow or do TikTok or not. I know there's a lot that do not. I do TikTok, and there is a group there. One of the gals has called it the Hobby Ho Club. And I am a member of the Hobby Ho Club, not only for the crochet, knit, sewing, diamond painting, you name it. The only craft that I don't do is embroidery or cross stitch anymore, and a lot of that had to do with the eyes, when I had to have cataract surgery, kind of got out of doing that, so. I guess now that I do have newer eyes, cataracts have been corrected, and, you know, I'd probably have to use reading glasses with it to do cross stitch. I did enjoy doing cross stitch. Found it very soothing. But, yeah. That has been one of those things that I just haven't gotten back into. You know, once I got to a point where I had to have bifocals. And of course, the bifocals that year, the glasses that were available seemed to be all those little bitty, what I call librarian glasses. There wasn't anything big enough that I felt would be comfortable to wear as bifocals. And I do have my set of bifocals with those little bitty lenses, and they are the most annoying things to ever have to use. So, you know, just don't bother with it. Ronan, this morning, he had lost his mouse to play fetch. So he was over in the trash can, kind of digging and whatnot, and I'm like, what is he doing? So I just kind of sat back and looked, and this is just one of those small, like 10 or 10 pint or, you know, quart size small ones. And I have been brushing the cats a lot lately, trying to help keep all the fur wisps or the fur kittens from developing around the house, you know, that kind of thing. So the fur that comes off in that, what I've been doing, okay, just wanted to make sure it wasn't running. What I have been doing is taking that off of the comb and just dropping it in the trash. He pulled out a big clump of that, brought it to me, and was expecting me to throw it to play fetch. And I just kind of looked at him. I'm like, Ronan, this is not going to fly. It's not going to work. Get a grip, cat. So he was a little disappointed that he didn't get his way. He'll survive it. But I'm like, I guess now I'm going to just have to separate that the cat fur and put it off somewhere. Probably should donate it somewhere to see if someone could, you know, use it for needle felting or, I don't know, spin it into yarn. Because I'm sure over the year I'd have enough to do a skein or two of my kitty's yarn. I don't know that I would do that, but I'm sure that's a costly penny. So, that is the biggest thing that is going on with me today is fighting off Ronan's attempts to use his fur balls to play fetch with. I don't know if he just gets bored or what's going on with him when he does this, but it is kind of funny to see, you know. I just never know what this cat is going to do. It's such a nut. And I have video of him where he's climbing all over my little, it's a It's one of those sit-to-stand desks that you can use. And I have my computer on it, and last night I had a bunch of papers and things that I was looking through and just kind of putting them on top of the computer on that desk. And this little sucker starts climbing all over it. To like dig through stuff. I don't know what he is doing, what he is looking for. But, you know, the only thing I can think of is he is bored. So I need to bring the laser out and run him around, run him ragged for a little bit and see if that'll calm him down for just a bit. Because he's just, he's just a little bit of a nutso. Izzy, she comes over to get brushed a couple times a day, get a little love on her, and then she's off. You know, she's off doing her little cat thing. Care less what I'm doing, as long as she has her treats, her food, and can get a little pets here and there, she's good. She likes to play, but she doesn't play as much as Ronan does. And I'm not sure, you know, she doesn't play fetch. Now, she will play with the mouse. You know, bat it around, throw it in the air, and, you know, that kind of thing. But she doesn't play fetch at all. I think she has this look when Ronan's doing it, like, what are you doing? You know, stop giving in to the human. Make her get it. It's almost as if she's chastising him for playing fetch. And last night, while I was sleeping, I have some clear balls that have like jingle bells in them. It's the best way I can describe it. And I could not find them. Normally I put them in the little basket by the fireplace so that I can bring them out every once in a while. You know, change out their toys, that kind of thing. Kind of like you did with your kids. Well, I don't know where he had gotten that to, or they had gotten it to, but apparently they found it. So last night I wake up to hearing this bell being jingled all around the bedroom. And I don't know why they think they have to come in the bedroom to play. Got this whole house, but, you know, in the middle of the night, they got to do it in the bedroom. So I kept hearing those bells going off and being batted around the house, and you hear it clunk when it hit the baseboards, you know. It's like, seriously, cats? Seriously? Why are you so nocturnal? Go to bed. Take a nap. But it was fun. And some of you had suggested using a spray bottle with water. I had tried that for quite some time. They would sit on the table and just look at me and blink. You know, like, really? You think that's... And they'd get off the table, they were drenched. It doesn't faze them a bit when it comes to that. I did try the foil. Foil is fine, but you gotta leave the foil on the table all the time. Crumpled works. Laying it flat up there, they don't like the sound of it on their paws. But, you know, got a table covered in foil. And generally my table is where I go to when I am going to do a tutorial, is to sit at that table and film overhead that way. May have to find another setup pretty soon, but that's what I've done in the past, and it has seemed to work fairly well, you know, doing it that way. So, but yeah, they're just cats. Cats are going to be stubborn. You're going to find things that work with one, doesn't work with others, and somehow I think the water doesn't faze them since they were feral to begin with. You know? I really don't think that really phases them much. Now he's going to talk to the butterflies out there, or the moths, or whatever it is. I do think it's cute that I can't be in any room without them coming in and see what's going on. You know? That just cracks me up. And maybe it's just they're nosy. Can't stand the thought that somebody might be doing something that they can't see what's going on. So they gotta come check on you, see if you're up to no good or something, I guess. Curl this up a little bit. I do think it's interesting. We've seen Kash Patel talking about the indictment of Bolton and that there are more coming. And of course the left is crying that that's him trying to use politics to get rid of his enemies or opposition. Well, it's kind of hard to indict someone because juries indict. So you have a jury of people or judges who have actually seen the evidence to show that a law has been broken in order for you to be indicted. So, there's that. And then you've got Letitia James that is, it's not just one house that she's done this to, it's like 2 or 3, I think. It's the last I heard. And I was like, she's a lawyer. She should have known that that was illegal to do what she was doing. And then the other thing is the niece that she was allowing to live there apparently was a fugitive on the run. I mean, my goodness. Just seems to get a little crazier and crazier. Then you have Governor Pritzker threatening to prosecute, once Democrats get into office, prosecute ICE officers, police officers that were doing their job, upholding the law. What is with them? What is with these people? So, and yeah, I do think that these people that have done crimes, whether they are senators, congresspeople, whatever, they should be held accountable for it. So, it's going to be interesting what comes of this, what happens in the future, right? I'm wondering how long 300 will be. I'm at 85. That looks kind of reasonable for a lap band, I think. maybe 250, I don't know. My arm's getting tired. And I got my flu shot yesterday in that arm. Of course, I've reached the golden age where you get the super duper high octane version of the flu shot. You know, once you turn 65, you start getting all these special perks. Not. And I do find it interesting because I think I've had more reactions since having to have that super duper. What I mean by that is I can tell when I have a low grade fever and, you know, just kind of blah feeling. But yeah, it's just rather amazing. All the fun stuff that goes on when you get older. Had to go over and get my hip x-rayed. That was fun. I don't know who designed these x-ray tables, but they are the most uncomfortable things in the world. You know, I already have back problems. So, of course, laying on it, you know, for the x-rays was uncomfortable. And then getting up, my back is like, okay, hold on a minute, I'm going to spasm here. But have a nice day. Unknown caller. So, I have no idea who that is, not going to answer. Most likely it's spam. So yeah, those are, you know, some things going on here. It's been cold today. It's like, I was out this morning and clear up until about 9 o'clock this morning, it was still under 40 degrees. This is fall, ma'am? Why is it 36 degrees? What's going on there? But it's okay. At least there's no snow, right? That'll be coming. And in our area, we have, they're mainly ice cream joints. Some of them sell other foods. We have one called Twin Kiss. We have one that is, we have a Dairy Queen. And then we also have a, what's the name of the other one? Battery died there. One new one that I had just heard of, quite frankly, and they had an ad on Facebook. Just had an ad, and they've already closed for the season. Quite a few of ours, those three close fairly early in the season, which I find interesting. A lot of us were talking, we really crave ice cream in the winter months. So, you know, maybe some of them could stay open. The other one is there's a Dairy Queen. The other one I was talking about was the Arctic Blast that had the advertisement. And then we have one that is called the Ice Shack. And they do food, soups, ice cream. But they also do slushies and shakes and all kinds of things. And that benefits the boys, a camp for boys. And it's run by Mennonites. And now they usually close the last day of October. So, And then you gotta go to the grocery store for your ice cream or your treats or whatever. You know, although, you know, you can still get a shake or whatnot at McDonald's, Wendy's, Burger King, those kind of things. But it's not quite the same. You know what I mean? I mean, who doesn't love a dipped cone at Dairy Queen? It's one of my favorite things. But, yeah, so those are closing down in our area, and a lot of people are grumping and making a big stink about it. And I'm like, well, have you told them you'd support them throughout the season? Especially those that do other things like hamburgers, hot dogs, you know, chili dogs, any kind of sandwich, chicken sandwiches, chicken fried sandwiches. I know a lot of people would frequent those over Dairy Queen, over Burger King and Wendy's. McDonald's. We have we were talking this morning at prayer group about a woman that she is a chiropractor, but she had some nutrition issues in her life, gut issues, and doctors had recommended her getting a colostomy bag, permanent colostomy bag. So she started doing some research in nutrition, those kind of things. And we were just kind of talking about this because we have a friend that has some gut issues that are similar. And, you know, we were talking about maybe if she were open to go and talk with her to learn some different nutrition things, because now her business is more about the nutrition than it is about being a chiropractor, which is interesting. But you know, maybe that's where God led her. And so we were kind of just, you know, discussing that, talking about that. And one of us had mentioned, because I've been in her office for other reasons. I won a gift basket years ago from her. So I had to pick it up there. But when we were talking about these things, we were actually talking about the fact that she has a McDonald's hamburger that is in a glass case that she bought, I think, 1990s, and it still looks like you just bought it and put it in the case. Now, granted, with it being in a glass case, it's not exposed to any kind of bacteria or anything, so it couldn't break down, that kind of thing. And who knows, you know, we always laugh about all the preservatives and everything that are in foods that we eat, you know, processed foods. You would think that they would preserve our bodies, but it doesn't. It actually does the opposite, creates a inflammation within our bodies, and we continue to eat it. I said, yeah, and then they use all those, you know, tri-salts and sugar mixes that make us crave it more, you know, so, you know, because they're about their bottom dollar, not about the health of the people. Otherwise, you'd see salads at a cheaper rate, maybe. But you know, I always hear the whole thing about the spiel of, well, you know, salads, it goes bad faster. I said, yeah, well, you know, if you had them at a decent price, because I think a salad at Wendy's now is like $8. You know, and it's not a big salad. Yeah, like I said, I think it's about $8 for one of those at Wendy's. I don't know if McDonald's has salads. They did at one point. I don't think Burger King does. And of course, those are the ones you could get at Taco Bell, but I'm sure none of them are really healthy. Wendy's has probably comes the closest to being semi-healthy, just because of you do get quite a bit of salad in it. But you know, I hear this complaint. Well, the salads go bad so fast, and you know, restaurants really lose out on the salads. And yeah, I can understand that, how that, you know, that theory is there, that they lose out on the salads. But then again, if they didn't make them so darn high to begin with, because the ingredients that they add to it seriously do not cost that much. If they gave you a bag of salad, a lot of places you can get a bag of salad for $2.50. You add some chicken to it and some cheese and a little sauce and maybe, you know, a tablespoon of vegetables. That shouldn't be costing you, you know, $16, $18 for a salad. Just shouldn't. Of course, nobody gives you a whole bag. They only give you, you know, maybe a handful and a half of salad. Sometimes just a handful. So I don't know. We do have one restaurant here in town. It is a local restaurant, and they have some of the best salads. But their salads come in a fried tortilla bowl. It's okay if you could just eat the salad without munching on the fried tortilla bowl, but most of us eat the fried tortilla bowl too. They have one that's a mandarin chicken that's one of my favorites, and it's just grilled chicken with some bell peppers, a couple of tomatoes, a little bit of cheese, and then you get your choice of dressing, and it has mandarin oranges on it. And generally when I get that, they have a poppy seed dressing that's really good. So I get it with the poppy seed, and it makes 2 meals for me because it's pretty big. Now to me, they charge, I think it's $12.95 for that now. It used to be $10.95. It's not a bad price for that, you know? So, because it is quite a big salad. I'm trying to judge because I'm at 150 rows. So I'm wondering what 200's gonna look like, because these are just supposed to be lap robes. They're not meant to be much bigger than that. So I do want to see how that is. I did start my 4th square. Started that yesterday. So that'll be being worked on, and we'll see how that comes out once I start sewing that together, you know. Sewing or crocheting, I'm trying to decide how I want to join them. I just want to use a mattress stitch, or if I want to actually crochet it together and do like the granny square crochet. What do they call that? Where you join it and it looks like you've done a granny stitch all the way around. You're joining them at the same time. I cannot remember what the name of that is. It's not the flat braid. Flat braid is a rather interesting stitch in itself, if you ask me. So, yeah, it's kind of what I'm doing craft-wise. I do have quite a few small items that I've been sewing for the craft fair. Mostly just coin purses, that kind of thing. Some more some bookmarks and a couple of book sleeves. I'm going to take a couple of book sleeves this time. Yeah, I'm going to take some of these bowls. You know, the bowl covers, bowl cozies. I'm going to take a couple of those. And what else am I going to take? Oh, some of the Bible covers. I have a couple of Bible covers I'm going to take for that. But, yeah. And I have, I think, 3 or 4 bags that I need to get cut. I am starting on Christmas right now. And that's been a lot of fun, going through some of the Christmas fabrics and picking and choosing what I'm going to make for bags and put out there. Oh, I am taking a couple of the crossbody bags. See how those go. And some of the grippers. That's what a lot of folks call those, grippers. I've not done anything crocheted. Normally I would take some pot scrubbers that are crocheted. I think I have a couple of those left, so I'm just going to take those. I don't think I'm going to add any extra ones. And the pencil bookmark type things, I'm going to take a couple of those Bible purses. I'm going to take 2 different variations of those. And what else? I thought about taking some of these shirts, you know, that I mix with the t-shirts and the flannels, and seeing about selling those. I'm not real sure because I would have to take my little rolling utility cart for them to hang on, but I might. I don't use Square, although they could use PayPal to pay me. That way, you can use their credit card. So, we're just gonna see how that'll work, you know? Figure out what's gonna work and what won't work. Because, like I said, some of these ladies are tight, and sometimes they'll just spend buku money. There is no telling what these ladies will buy, purchase, and look for. Oh, do have a couple of different items that I've made with the leftover fabrics that I have, turning them into necklaces. So, and then just adding some charm beads all around, that kind of thing on them. We'll see how that goes too. Maybe a hit, may not. You never know. I actually think I'm going to stop at 200. 201. I actually think that is going to work out just fine for a Afghan. Yep. Okay. I think that's fairly long enough for a good lap row. There'll be a couple of extra rows that are added to it, so it'll be good, especially once you get it good and stretched. So that will be set aside to be worked on a little bit later. And I actually think I'm going to do 2 of those. We'll see. But that's kind of what I'm up to doing today. I hope you guys are having a good day and you're getting some of your crafts in. I know I find that very soothing and comforting to be able to do something each day in between whatnot. I do have to go out a little bit later and finish pulling up the weeds that are in between the patio bricks. The lawyer had stopped by the other day to look at the place and get a couple of pictures and get a feel of it for when we go to court. And he was coming through and he was asking me about the bricks. When they laid the bricks, how did they do them? Those kind of things. And I said, well, they put the rocks down. And he asked me, he said, well, did they press them down, to make sure, then lay sand on it? Because, with the sand, you'll see a lot of those weeds and stuff grow up through it. I said no. In fact, when they were getting ready to put it out there, my question was, because my sister had done this with her house, they had laid two layers of the, can't think of it, it's like the black tarp that they lay that helps prevent a lot of weeds coming through, and then you put the rocks down. Sometimes people will put sand down and they'll tamp it down so that it doesn't shift, They make sure that it's good and tight down before they start laying the bricks or pouring cement. I said no, they didn't do any of that. He basically, I didn't see him tamp it down. I said I was there when they were doing it, talking with him, watching, and none of that was done. And I'd asked him about, putting the tarp down. He said, oh, that's just a waste of time. Which is part of the problem with this contractor, is because he didn't do what I was asking him to do, because, quite frankly, I'm a woman and I don't know what I'm talking about. Even though I'd done a lot of research, I wanted to make sure that this was something that would actually work. He knew better. So, anyway, he'd come by and stop by and was looking at those kind of things, and he was telling me, yeah, weeds come up even when you put the one layer down and tamp it down, put the sand down. They come in with the sand and whatnot. I said, well, there was no sand put down, so this is whatever is underneath the ground, what's natural. And I said, but I spray once a week trying to kill those to make it easier to pull them up, and that doesn't seem to work. He said, yeah, it doesn't work either. He does the same thing at his place, and it just seems to constantly get worse and worse. So anyway, I gotta go pull some weeds today so I can get them at least looking a little more decent out there instead of looking like a wild, overgrown secret garden. All right, guys, I'll let you go for now. I'll see you again tomorrow. Everybody have a blessed day and try to do something kind for someone today.